Modelling is one core making skill that's really important to be able to do. So today I'd like to introduce you to Polymorph. Polymorph is a thermoplastic, so it responds to temperature, goes soft when it's hot, and it stays hard and it hardens again once it cools down. So in its original form, when it's hard, I'll just show you. So it comes in these small white beads. So we'll put some beads in for now, and then I just pour in boiling hot water, and you'll see that the beads go from being white to being clear. It's really important that you don't burn yourself, obviously, when you're doing these. So what I do is I tend to use a spoon. Use a spoon that, if it gets plastic on it permanently, doesn't matter too much. And make sure that when you pull it out, you tip all the water off. Across to the side. This piece of grease-proof paper, it just stops anything sticking to it. So you can put it down on there. And you can see it's lovely to work with. It's quite smooth and stretchy. It only stays smooth and stretchy for a relatively short period of time. Depends how hot it is when you're working with it. It only actually needs to get to 60 degrees to be able to be manipulated, and it does cool reasonably quickly. So you do have to work reasonably quickly. If you want to put it back in the water later, most people, put it in a ball and then put it into the water. It's actually better to stretch it out as much as possible before you put it into the water, because it just takes less time then to reheat. So I'll just pop that back into the water. So today what I'm going to do is just, this is a LED with long wires on it. So what I'm going to do is just make a really simple flower, just by making individual pieces. So as you're working, what you can do is you can actually drop it in cool water or cold water, and it will actually then go solid. So you could do like an individual layer and then drop it in cold water. Okay, so there we have a flower. And that will eventually go white. It's important, when it's hard, it'll actually be white. It's important as it's cooling not to actually rest it. If you rest it, it'll actually deform its shape. So what you need to do is actually either hold it, or I'll often put some, if it's something that's rounded, I'll put it in a cupcake or holder or something like that to actually hold it in the right shape prior to it drying. So this is a flower that we modelled earlier in the Polymorph, and with this we can just put a battery on the LED, and there you have quite a pretty flower. You can see that it's actually a little bit translucent, so it comes up quite nicely. So with a lot of these things, it's just a matter of trying and seeing how it works for you and what works, experimenting. A lot of making is about failing, getting it wrong, and then trying again, getting it right. The Polymorph you can just continuously reuse until you get it right. So with the Polymorph, just make sure that you don't burn yourself when you're tipping the hot water in, and make sure that you shake it out before you start modelling it. And also make sure that the plastic doesn't actually stick to anything that you don't want it to stick to.